rise because part of this conversation is centering around education, and I want to offer my 2 cents here. One is a couple of different reasons. One, I was very similar to many of the kids that we're talking about here. I was on the free reduced lunch program growing up. I was a public school teacher. I was a public school board member. And sometimes the hardest conversations we have are that everything is working out just fine. It's not. I can tell you fundamentally, the achievement gaps, the opportunity gaps that Senator Linehan talked about absolutely exist. We have to do a better job of educating our youth, specifically our highest need, Latino, African American, Native American, and many other subgroups and identities of refugees. We have to do a better job. That does mean more targeted resources. And when Senator Wayne is talking about not to the school, but making sure that it's going to the students, it's because it's not always reaching the students. These services and the supports are not always reaching our highest need students, our students with IEPs, or our students that are lower income or have higher need. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the achievement gaps we still have. We have been clawing to make sure we're addressing that. I know we've been trying to do that in Omaha, but we're still not doing everything that we possibly can yet. That's why we fight here about making sure we're talking about equity, not equality. A couple of things I want to comment to, because I do think it's important. I don't think it's a bad thing to say that our education system isn't meeting the needs of our kids. That's not a bad thing to say. When Senator Linehan is talking about the evaluation of teachers or the proficiency scores that Senator Wayne's talking about, part of the reason is the only way we can make better decisions on how we can do a better job to support our schools is if we have data and transparency on how we're actually doing. It's why when we talk about things like standardized tests, yes, I don't think they're the only measure that we should be utilizing for our students, but it's usually the major and only measure that's utilized to get into college or to some post-secondary education. We can't coddle our communities and set lower expectations for them for what's possible. They're going to be entering the workforce, and we need to make sure that they're as prepared as possible. Unfortunately, right now, the metrics and any type of assessments that we use, formative, standardized, are the only things that we have to be able to evaluate how well our system is operating and how well students are learning. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing that we need to focus on. It's not a bad thing that Senator Pauls is asking about looking at the improvement and turnaround of districts or schools. That's not a bad thing that we should be asking about. Or whether or not we can expect more from our school districts, that's not a bad thing. When we talk about all of our other systems of government right now, we expect our correction system to be better. We expect our system of banking to be better. We expect every single system of foster care, child welfare to be better. The question is, how do we do it? And it's true, sometimes we get on a mic here and we talk about the needs that we need to address, but we don't actually put anything behind it. It is frustrating, I'm not going to lie. It's one of the reasons why I continue to bring education bills, because I continue to see that there are inequities in the system for Black and brown families and kids. And it's not just funding. Funding is one aspect of it for the kids. But making sure the services, and we're having the right conversations about where kids need to be.
1 minute.
It's one of the reasons I supported Senator Linehan's third grade reading bill when it was originally introduced in its original form. We have to continue to expect more, and also continue to support those that are doing that. I've said it before, you could be very pro-teacher and also pro-reform and expect more from the system. We have to take a good hard look at what we actually need to invest in. And I've been on the mic talking about it's not about throwing money at the problem, but it's also not about taking money away or dissolving the money that's going to be going there simply. That's not the answer either. But we need to talk about these inequities in outcomes that exist, because the educational outcomes connect to our workforce issue. There are 50,000 people right now that don't have a high school degree in the state of Nebraska. We have
Time,
six.
Senator.
Thank you.